Ladies and gents, this is a video that I, am rather surprised that I have so quickly for you because 2 days ago, I messaged Eli, who is a 2K2 player from the US. Fun fact about him, we have a legend video about him from Community Games way back. I think it was 2016, Eli and Infoboat. Graphics suck, commentary sucked, but he's been around the community a long time. And he's always been known as a bit of a unique player. And I have played him on the ladder. I played him on Migration maybe, I want to say like 5 times, 10 times this past week. So I ran into him on Migration. And I know that he's usually playing that or Nomad, right? He's not your typical Arabia or Arena player. And I sent him a message and said, hey, the generations of Migration on DE are kind of bugged. And sometimes there's little pockets of water in the back. Since you're playing so much Migration, can you try and use that for a fish boom and tell me how your results go? That was the challenge. This is the game. We've got Eli here playing as the Tatars. So I imagine they probably went random civ here. I mean, could be kind of nice to have the Tatars here because you have limited food on Migration, and you do have the water buffalo, which would have more food. And then we have PLP, who is a quite a strong player from France. Typically, you're like standard Arabia player, lots of open land maps. And he's playing as the Turks. Turks actually have a better navy than the Tatars. Turks have a crazy navy. There's not a lot they miss, actually. They get everything, except for Dromans, I guess, which is civ specific. And Tatars, I don't actually know. But yeah, I guess they miss like heavy demo and shipwright, which means water long term. They're not necessarily that good. Their elos, by the way, are at the bottom right here instead of at the top. But Eli, and he's gonna hate it when I say this, but you know his Eli, Eli's elo. Sorry, his elo is 2300, largely because of the fact he gets up against a bunch of Arabia nerds who aren't experienced on these maps, and he really is. So if Nomad's in the pool or Migration, that's where his elo shoots up. Those maps aren't in the pool, his elo will probably go down a little bit. But he's a really good player and a really nice guy. So, like, think of Migration. Typically, you have the docks on the outside, and you fish, and then you transport to the mainland, right? Eli is docking on the back and is hiding his fish. Now, fishing ships on shorefish are really inefficient and really slow compared to deep fish. So this is obviously quite risky. But what this does do for you is it keeps them safe. And the opponent is most likely going to add navy of some kind, right? But for now, obviously, players are kind of chilling. I really enjoy aspects of the Definitive Edition Migration. So I love how expansive the area is in the middle. I find like recent versions of Migration in Warlords, for example, the middle area was so tiny. And I think that's because they actually made the map size 2, whereas this, I think Migration is actually size 3, even for a 1v1, which is rare. The thing that I find very inconsistent with this version of Migration, and I don't think it's bad necessarily if it's ranked, but it's bad if, like, you start to put maybe money on the line or something, is there is an uneven amount of trees on each island at times. So, like, there's 213. Here is 207. That's not a big deal at all. And then also the pockets of water could be a problem. Now, full disclosure, guys, I did try this myself twice, and I wasn't able to make what Eli's doing work. I died miserably, and while I was planning on making a full video with all the attempts and then my eventual success, I just messaged someone else who maybe a bit more creative than I to attempt such an endeavor here. So anyways, like, I love this because look at what PLP is doing. So he's like, all right, we're on a water map. We're not on Arabia, right? But I'm still going to go for these fast up times, and I'm going to go kill my opponent's fish. So he goes for just 3 fishing ships. He's transferring everything he can over to wood, everything he can over, well, not everything, but a couple of villagers over to gold. This is good, too, because Turks already, they have the water advantage long term. So to start with the Navy early is good. You also get the mining upgrade bonus starting in feudal. Or actually, you don't get the mining upgrades. You just mine gold faster. But anyways, you're going to gold a bit earlier because of that, which takes advantage of a bonus. Here he is. And he's going to be off to go kill his opponent's fishing ships. Because that's what this map is about. Meanwhile, Eli, he's got his docks in the back. And he's got his docks in the back. And when these run out, this is where this gets really tricky, okay? When you finish fishing these, these box turtles, I guess, which is soon, you need to have 100 wood per fishing ship for fish traps. So this is like, I don't consider this a good strategy unless maybe you're Malay. I think it's very risky, but I think risks are worth it on predictable maps, right? But I need to show you this from PLP's perspective because this is just amazing. Like, it's just so fun to see what's happening. Eli now, bringing these vills over. Eli's going to hop into the transport ship. Obviously, he's not going to be able to compete for water here because he only has one dock. Only one dock on the front. Making Navy with these docks would be a big mistake. I also accidentally made a galley back here once. It was a different time. It wasn't recently, okay? It was just old me. So Eli makes it. He migrates just in the nick of time, and here comes PLP. And PLP has played enough migration games, watched enough tournaments to think, I'm out here to kill the fish. And it actually is a really sick build. So he goes 2 galleys and then adds his own fish behind. If you watch tournaments recently, a lot of players have tried this. Again, the whole build is to kill fish. And he's looking. He's looking. And he finds a dock. So he's like, okay, we found the dock. Where's the fish? There's deep fish around this dock. That's weird. Okay, looking. Nothing over here. Good, got it. Edge of the map, got it. And does he seem confused to you guys? You can tell he's confused. He's like, where's the stuff at, bro? Look, he even checked a little bit further this way. He's like, huh? What's going on? I can't find anything. Meanwhile, Eli's starting to add the fish traps, and Eli's got his vills just chopping wood here. Now, here's the downside of the strat right now. The downside of the strat is you have no way of killing your opponent's fish, and 8 fishing ships on deep fish is more efficient, more effective, and less investment than the fish traps, right? So you pay a price for the savings, and he can't even, like, these fishing ships aren't on fish traps yet. These 2 aren't on fish traps yet. I think he's got 2 fish traps, and then he needs the wood for the buildings. Like, this is not easy. And so anyways, there's the transport ship. PLP will at least be able to snipe this. But that is kind of okay for Eli. Because Eli is already here. I like how PLP has added a couple fires. I think adding the fires to take down the docks faster is really smart play here. But yeah, this is just not something PLP was ever expecting to be up against. And he's now 2.5 minutes away from Castle Age. Has collected more resources, seems completely fine. And is going to add more docks as well. Now, I actually think he feels as though a player in Eli's position would drop a forward dock to kill his fish. I think PLP's played this great. Like, he's checking for the forward dock, which when I first saw this game, I thought Eli would attempt. Because you just have to... It always feels like you've got to snipe these fishing ships. So adding the additional fires might not make sense to a lot of you guys right now based on what we're seeing or not seeing from Eli. But like 1 or 2 forward docks and sneak Navy to kill fish is really common. So he's on this dock. He's checking everywhere else with this Navy. He's checking down here. And he's got 4 docks here. But the big thing that PLP needs to do is he also needs to get to the land. And Eli... He is, he's over here still as the 4 villagers, waiting for their next task. And now he's got, okay, so 8 fishing ships. He just added 1 more. And he's actually going to drop a TC here, which is rather unique. Which I think you can do. I think on the latter version of migration, you can justify this because there's so much more trees. There's so much more space. You won't see this in tournaments. And then he drops a TC here. So he's got his 8 fish, all on fish traps now. He doesn't have to worry about fish at all. He's behind by 1,000 resources collected. But PLP has also spent like 1,000 resources on the Navy, if you think about that. Right? Because the army, the value here of the army, that's 1,400 resources. I guess that would also include the light calf. Little late to the party here is PLP. There he is. He sees the monastery. He sees the TC there from Eli. Eli's going to be up. Now, having played Eli a bunch on migration the last 2 weeks, there's one thing he does a really good job of. And he goes to stone super early. Like, he's already on stone. And it simplifies his thinking right now. Like, he doesn't have to focus at all on water. And so his thinking is obviously, you know, take as much control on land as possible here. You get the sheep from the Tatars, so he gets the extra sheep, is taking that. Here he's going to take a little bit more wood. Eventually this becomes a problem if there's Navy out here, of course, but maybe not yet. And it's actually a close game. And he's still adding more fishing ships and fish traps back here, which isn't really a Tatar bonus. And also, I spoke to Eli like a month ago when we played Black Forest. We played a 1v1 Black Forest game. He had pawns and I didn't. I was like, oh, you could fish boom. And he says, I don't like that. So this is not a player who's used to the fish booming meta. 2 TCs as well for PLP. And they're both aware that the other is here with a town center. Eli just saw this TC. And PLP knew about this TC in the monastery when he got here. Now, PLP can still add more fish. He's got galleys behind the wood lines. There's aspects of control this gives him. He still doesn't see any of the sneak docks. He has no clue, and obviously there's very little he could do against us right now. And he's also gone to stone. So this has been a high-level game, right? Like, he knows stone, castle drops are really important here. Eli, of course, went to stone a little bit earlier from what we can see. He's starting to mix in some farms after the sheep, which is great. Still has 12 fishing ships now on fish traps. Now, eventually, that becomes more efficient than the long-term fishing from PLP. And Eli walks forward, and he places a castle. He knows this is risky. And it's right between both TCs. And it's in a position where, I mean, I just cannot stress to you how important these types of things are. It's in a position where his opponent can't see it going up. So if his opponent had anything, it wouldn't go up. And then also, I'm pretty sure this castle ranges the TC, which is just sick. Yeah, that's just a sick castle. Now, I really respect that because Eli's got Nomad energy. He plays a lot of Nomad. And so Nomad's a lot of like sneaky fish, castle drops. It's just a style which is rather unique compared to most pros. And now he knows that PLP could have some problems and he's coming to kill him. But PLP's up to Imp, guys. So PLP up to Imp. Somehow. He's not going Imp in this TC. And here he's got some pressure coming in his way. Monk could go down. Eli microing against it. Kills the monk. Loses the scout. And what you're thinking now if you're PLP is you're like, you need a castle here so you can make trebs. Need a castle. But there's a siege workshop from Eli. Eli's going to have some pressure coming in. So this gets pretty messy here. T90, do you play ranked games? I play a lot of ranked games. I don't really stream them, though, anymore. I would stream my ranked games when I was on Facebook for 2 years, but these days I just kind of do it offline. Do my own thing. Big moment here, right? Because PLP, he needs control, and he needs a position to be able to make trebs and cannons, and he's starting to lose a little bit of control. The light cav gets converted. Light cav can now kill the next monk, and it just big moments here for Eli. who's still not on the way to Imp. But what he does have is 76 vills against 57. He's like condensed his eco in here where a lot of it can't be ranged by Navy. And obviously still has this eco here. And now PLP is going to build a castle on the back. Now, guys, where is your brain going right now from PLP? What do you think needs to be the key for him? What area of the map does he need to consider utilizing here? Because if your brain's going where my brain's going, this could get interesting, right? He's still full water control. So there's a chance that he could maybe use the Navy to start to disrupt Eli's economy right now. Eli's on the way to Imp with the back TC. So he's expecting some shenanigans. Didn't even have enough faith to go for Imp in the middle. And now we're going to see PLP drop some ranges. You get chemistry instantly when you're the Turks. And he's going to start to mass some gunpowder. Great job from him to keep his vills alive and to relocate and to finish this castle. We still see more fishing ships for red. Also redocking, right? Making the fishing ships very close near the docks. Adds to the efficiency. Really hard to stop Turk hand cannons if there's a significant mass of them. And things are about to get interesting. Someone says, why isn't he trebbing? Well, how's he supposed to protect his trebs? You can't just move out with 1 or 2 trebs. You need a position with army first. So, and there's enough here from Eli where we could easily just be asking, you know, why did Red just throw away his trebs? So he's trying to build that force up. Micring here. Mangonels won't do too much. Eli trying to nerd out, but good micro here from Red. And guys, what a fun migration game. This is super unique, right? Safe fish trap still working away. Tons of resources here for Eli. And right now is when Red's like, okay, I finally have the mass. I'm going to bring my trebs. I'm going to bring my bombard cannons, and we're going to make things interesting here. Eli's dropping ranges. And he's going to try cav archers, which I think is a good unit against what Red is making. Oof, that's actually really good for Eli. But he could lose all of his middle control here if he doesn't get the numbers out here quickly. Tries to get some raids in, can't find the raids because everything's protected by the castle, and PLP is coming hot and heavy. Margugu, are you still here? How do you say lots of pressure in French? Lots of pressure? Is that how you say it? Because that's what PLP needs to put on right now. Lots of pressure. The first treb is here. Bucop de pression. Okay, all right. I knew that. Trebs, 2 trebs now. Bomber cannons on the way. Hand cannons here to protect. Crazy moments. Ranges disrupted ever so slightly, but heavy cav archers in here for Eli. He is Tatar, so we get the thumb ring upgrade for free. He's repairing this castle, but we're going to see PLP come forward with another castle. And the way we started was unique. And now this is just a big old land battle here in the middle. And cav archers should be so good long-term with their mobility. And we see Eli dive in here. He loses his castle, but he's trying to use the Keshiks to distract some of the shots as the cav archers get some kills behind. It's actually working pretty well. In some instances here, you could see some of the shots are missing here for PLP. And suddenly, there's only 1 bombard cannon. A lot of the hand cannons are going down. And the cav archers winning the battle here. And, I mean, if this castle gets denied, this whole position could be lost here for PLP, and it just feels like the cav archer's so incredibly strong. The bombard cannon's going to go down. The villagers are not going to complete the castle. And PLP... Well, actually, will they? Super close. Super close. Super close. 97%! And with a push like this, you need momentum. And more vills are on the way. And more vills are trying to complete the castle, and it's still at 97%. And oh, oh no, pain, painful. And Eli's gonna have like 30 cav archers here soon, right? The trebs are still not been packed up, and the GG's called. A crazy game. A really interesting game. Now, the one thing this game missed for me is a couple cannon galleons from PLP. I really wonder, and I was kind of alluding to it as a bit of a bait. I really wonder what happens if PLP makes 2 cannon galleons and has them parked here. Because, like, I don't know how fast it kills Vills, but it would take out the TCs. It would take out the houses. I do think that it would play its role in helping a little bit. Because a lot of this eco being saved for Eli is kind of the biggest part that this whole thing worked. 81 Vills and then also the 12 fishing ships. But in the end, I think, like, I don't know if the fish boom necessarily won Eli the game. But what it allowed him to do is put 100% of his focus on this fight. Whereas PLP, you could see, he's like, okay, I've got to move some fish around, got to add some fish. Let's maybe micro the Navy again, make sure he's not coming on water. That is a very common thing, is players coming back on water. You have to always look for that. So, yeah, I just think it was just a fun game here. So, I wanted to show you this. I thought it was so cool how I said to Eli, hey, this is happening with the map generations. You could potentially take advantage of it. Give it your best shot. Let me know if you find anything. And, like, within 24 hours of me asking, he had already found a game where it worked out. And I know, like, efficiency is great and people like to look at stats, but I think simplifying your game plan and being able to focus on one single thing is really important in this game. And that opening from Eli felt perfect as far as that was concerned. So, fun game. Anyways, I hope people enjoyed that. I have thought about doing that a little bit more frequently. Reaching out to players with a challenge and saying, hey, I think this is possible on this map or with this civilization. Can you try this for me? Let me know. I think I might do that more commonly with players to see if we can get some content, because Eli at least was all over it. Obviously, when you watch this later on YouTube, let me know if you enjoyed. The people here on the stream were just completely overwhelmed with how amazing that game was. I can just tell. And hopefully you were too. Thank you guys for watching.